The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days, and yet Clara sat by the window, her sewing untouched, watching the world outside fade into a blur of grey. In her hands was the letter, creased at the corners, the ink slightly smudged from where her fingers had lingered too long. It was supposed to be her new beginning, her escape from the small, judgmental town that never let her forget she didn't fit their idea of beauty. The envelope bore the stamp of Montana Territory, 1892, and inside, words from a man she had never met but hoped to love. A lumberjack named Samuel Hart. He'd written that he was looking for a wife to share his cabin in the mountains, someone kind and strong, someone who believed in hard work and good faith. Clara had written back with trembling hands, pouring out her heart, telling him of her love for books, for nature, for laughter, and for the kind of life that was built with patience rather than perfection. When his reply came, she'd cried, not from sadness, but from a feeling she hadn't known in years, hope. Her family hadn't shared her joy. A mail-order bride, Clara? Her mother had scoffed. Only desperate women do such things. But desperation wasn't shameful to Clara. It was honest. It meant she still believed something better waited out there beyond the fields. Beyond the gossip, beyond the cruel looks that followed her whenever she walked through town square. The townsfolk saw her size before they saw her soul, and even the few men who smiled at her did so with pity, not admiration. So when Samuel Hart's letter had spoken of wanting a woman of substance, someone sturdy enough to face the wilderness, she had thought, perhaps. Finally she'd been seen. The morning she left, the sky was heavy with clouds that promised snow. She carried only one suitcase, her best dress folded inside, a Bible and the letter tied with a ribbon. Every mile that the train carried her westward, Clara's heart swelled with nervous excitement. She imagined the man waiting for her, broad-shouldered, yes, but gentle, rough hands but kind eyes. She rehearsed how she might greet him, how she'd thank him for choosing her. Yet when she stepped off that final platform, suitcase in hand, her heart faltered. Samuel wasn't alone. There were 3 other men there, each watching as she descended the steps, their eyes narrowing as if assessing her worth with every inch she drew closer. One whispered something that made the others laugh, and Clara felt heat rise in her cheeks. Then a tall man with a dark beard stepped forward. Samuel. He looked at her once, long enough for her to see the flicker of disappointment in his eyes, before his expression turned cold. "You're Clara?" he asked, voice low and uncertain. She nodded, offering a small, hopeful smile. "Yes, Clara Bennett. You must be Mr. Hart." He didn't answer right away. His gaze drifted over her plain dress, the sturdy shoes, the curls that refused to stay pinned. "You're not quite what I expected," he muttered finally. The words struck her harder than she'd imagined possible. I may not be what you pictured, sir," she said softly. "But I assure you I can cook, clean, tend to animals, and—" He raised a hand, stopping her. "That's not the issue." The other men had started to walk away, one chuckling under his breath. "Told you them city ads were full of lies, Sam," he called over his shoulder. Samuel said nothing, but the way his jaw tightened made Clara's stomach twist. "I'm sorry you came all this way," he said finally, voice stiff. "But I think you should head back." Clara blinked. "Head back? You mean leave?" "I'm not looking for charity," he replied. "You're a fine woman, I'm sure. But I need someone who can handle the mountain life. It's rough up there." "I can handle it," she insisted, stepping closer. "I've worked the field since I was 12. I'm stronger than I look." He didn't meet her eyes. "I said no, Miss Bennett." And with that he turned away. The platform felt emptier than it had moments before. Clara stood frozen, the weight of her suitcase biting into her hand. She had crossed hundreds of miles, dared to believe she could be loved for who she was. And now, with a few cold words, that hope shattered. The train whistle blew in the distance, but she couldn't bring herself to move. Then, from the edge of the clearing, another man appeared, one she hadn't noticed before. He was broad-shouldered and quiet, his shirt rolled up at the sleeves, an axe resting against his shoulder. He didn't laugh like the others had. He just watched her, his brow furrowed in something like concern. When their eyes met, Clara felt something stir. Not hope. Not yet, but curiosity. He set the axe down slowly and walked toward her. "Miss," he said, voice low and even. "You all right?" Clara tried to smile, though her voice trembled. "I suppose I will be." He glanced in the direction Samuel had gone, then back to her. "You came all this way to marry that fool?" Her eyes widened at his bluntness. But before she could answer, he added, "Don't waste your tears. Some men don't know what they're missing." Clara blinked back the sting of tears. "And what am I missing, sir?" He smiled faintly. "Maybe just someone who sees you proper." The rain began again, light, steady, and the man lifted her suitcase easily with one hand. "There's a small inn down the road," he said. "I'll walk you there. You can rest, think things through. Ain't safe to stand out here alone." As they walked, Clara stole glances at him. He didn't speak much, but there was something steady about his presence, like the ground beneath her feet after a storm. And though she didn't yet know his name, she had a feeling that this meeting, accidental as it seemed, was the start of something she had long prayed for.